meet you.
We'll call to order our board meeting this evening. I am Kristen Smith. I'm sitting in for Kyle Dempsey, who's unable to be here tonight. I will take roll call at this time. Amy Cinder. Here. Ingrid Schwartz-Wolf.
Here.
And John Castro is on his way. At this time, I ask that everybody stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We currently offer 2 ways in which the community can participate in regular school board meetings. The first public comment section on tonight's agenda is for addressing current action items that are on tonight's agenda. These comments must be submitted by noon on the day of the meeting. The procedures for submission are posted on our website under Board of School Trustees. The second public comment section is for general comments and does not have to be specific to an agenda topic. If you wish to address the board during the general public comment section of the meeting, please put your name and topic on a card and give to Deb Hayes at the start of the meeting. Deb has her hand up in the corner. All public comments are limited to 3 minutes per individual, with a total of 30 minutes allotted for each public comment section on the agenda. With that said, presently we have 4 comments for our public comments on action items this evening. You have 3 minutes, at which time I'm first going to call Julia Atkinson, please, to the podium.
Is this okay? This is longer than 3 minutes. My husband signed up as well. If it's better for him to take over when I'm done, or if I can finish, that will be up. My name is Julie Atkinson. I've been a student advocate for 17 years, and I'm not going to stop now. May is Mental Health Awareness Month, and I'd like to bring awareness to Wilbur Wright's school counseling program. The American School Counselor Association recommends a student-to-counselor ratio of 250 to 1. Research has shown time and time again that these ratios lead to lower rates of absenteeism and significantly higher achievement scores. Wilbur Wright has had a ratio of roughly 500 to 1 during my time here. If the district's mission is to create lifelong learners through the highest quality educational programs, there is much more work to do aside from offering more AP classes. There are currently no administrators in the school town of Munster who oversee the mental health professionals, counselors and social workers who work here. No administrators at Wilbur Wright or in central office have any type of mental health background to help advocate for our professions, or to help us navigate sensitive issues, or to help others understand confidentiality laws. I have been accused of violating FERPA, confidentiality laws, and board policy. I consulted with a licensed social worker with prior parental consent about a student in crisis. As a school counselor, this is a regular part of my job responsibilities, and I frequently contact social workers, therapists, and psychiatrists. If I can be fired for this, despite having enthusiastic parental support, then I would urge the other counselors and social workers in the district to take notice. As a licensed school counselor, I am extremely aware of my ethical obligations as they relate to confidentiality and to FERPA, which are 2 separate things, because those are the literal basis of my profession. If students or parents don't trust me, they won't talk to me. To suggest that I have violated a student's right to privacy is perhaps the most offensive thing I could be accused of doing. I'm also extremely familiar with my professional obligations as they relate to FERPA because I am a school employee. I do feel it is important to point out that the administrator who has accused me of violating FERPA was not able to answer the questions, what is FERPA, or what does FERPA mean, or even what provision of FERPA did she violate, when asked in front of the school board. The Family Educational Rights and Privacy Act is a federal law which protects students' educational records and personally identifiable information. The only people with access to this information are either those with a legitimate educational interest, or if a parent has given their consent for the information to be shared. Again, I consulted with a licensed social worker who had firsthand knowledge of a student's mental health concerns with both prior parental consent and enthusiastic support. I also think it is important to mention that, to this day, no administrator has ever contacted the parent about this conversation, which occurred in November.
Do we have her husband come up, or next one? So at this time, Ben Atkinson will come to the podium, please.
I'm going to complete Julia's statement. I have been on paid administrative leave since January 10th. The psychological and physical effects I have experienced during this forced social isolation have been profound because my coworkers were allowed to just think that I was ill. At one point, the administrator who recommended my immediate termination encouraged the staff to send me a thinking of you card, as if admin also didn't know why I wasn't at work and wanted to support me. Later, I participated in a hearing where I was treated as a nuisance because someone else Then it was suggested that I waffled in my testimony when I was emotionally exhausted and not been allowed to speak until 10:45 p.m. I think it is important for my community to hear this information during the Mental Health Awareness Month. This is my community. This is where I live and where my kids go to school and where I run into parents everywhere I go. I have said from the beginning that I want the school board to have to publicly make a decision about how they interpret their policies. Is a licensed social worker who personally worked with a student not someone with a legitimate educational interest? Written consent and supportive daily conversations with a parent not enough to qualify as parental consent? I've been offered the opportunity many times throughout this process to simply resign, and I refused. I could see the writing on the wall from the start, but what has happened here is not right. I did not violate any laws or policies. I have gone through this entire process because I want my children to see how important it is to stand up for your convictions and for what is right, and to show them that people can do hard things and still come out the other side, that it's important to do the right thing even when you know you're not going to win. If I can be fired after 17 years of being consistently rated as highly effective, then any employee in the district can be fired at any time. Maybe the craziest thing about this all is that I still want to work at Wilbur Wright because of the students and my coworkers. Lindsay Grunwald and Kathy Kwalczyk are two of the best mental health professionals I know. Lindsay has had to be the only school counselor with a caseload of over 1,000 students. They've had to pick up all the slack in my absence with little to no acknowledgement. Carol Eretz has had to field questions every day from students asking where I am. I have made so many great friendships with so many teachers. I love working at the school my child attends. I love seeing students out in the wild. My plan for my family and my future was for me to work here in my community until I retire. I'm heartbroken. I'm so thankful to all the students and parents who have ever trusted me enough to share personal information with me. I've never once taken it for granted.
Thank you. Our next person that has asked for public comment is Deanna Dreas. I apologize, Zgobica. I don't want to incorrectly state your last name. Thank you. Thank you. Go ahead. Oh, no, please take your time.
Members of the board, I am here to address the board on behalf of Julia Atkinson. When one chooses to enter the profession of working with children, it is not for accolades or recognition. It's to make a difference. And I would like to tell you about the difference. Mrs. Atkinson has made for my children, both as past and current students at Wilbur Wright. As the parent to the Munster School District, I am personally grateful to the time and dedication she has sacrificed for my children. She has made a positive impact on both of my sons. My oldest, now at the high school, is thriving, and he struggled with learning and anxiety. Mrs. Atkinson provided a safe and quiet place for him to go when he needed to just chill out and veg, as she so kindly put it. And this wasn't every day, but when she was available, she allowed him to come and chill out. Sometimes my son really didn't have anything to say, or she asked him about his day, And if he really didn't answer, she picked up on those cues and allowed him to sit without judgment or pressure. For the 3 minutes or so that his break allowed, he played with a fidget, maybe ate a piece of candy, or she let him build a Lego figure. When his time was up, he thanked her for allowing him to sit and hang out, and I'm thankful for her and everything she did in being my son's touchstone when he needed a safe place after a long day or a difficult class. It makes me sad that my youngest son, now enrolled at Wilbur Wright, will not have the same experience of seeing her friendly face or hearing that infectious laugh in the hallway. When you ask the kids what they love about Mrs. Atkinson, they tell me it's her smile, her ability to laugh and make a crazy joke. It's difficult to relate to young middle schoolers, and she can do this without struggle or question. It just came naturally, and I, as a parent, will miss her openness and prompt responses when I had a scheduling question or a question regarding a class. She is an asset to the parents, and only she has the children's interest at heart and is dedicated to make sure all students and parents feel successful while trying to navigate through the tumultuous waters of middle school. Mrs. Atkinson, you are loved and revered by parents and students, and as the community comes together to support you, I would personally like to thank you for all you have done.
Thank you. The next person listed is Heather Burmester, B-U-R-M-E-S-T-E-R.
I'm here for Julie Atkinson. I have 3 students. I'm a B. I'm Heather Burmester, so she is our counselor. I have 2 students who are high ability students. I have 1 student who has an IEP. They are active in extracurriculars. I am active in the PTO. So I have had a lot of experience with different staff members in our school district. And there is literally no other staff member that I have more time or more of a caring response or more of a positive interaction than I have with Miss Julie Atkinson. When my son came to the school district, she shepherded us through his transition into 6th grade and joining the high ability program, which is a bit of a step when you are transferring into the district and haven't just been grandfathered into the program in the 2nd to 3rd grade step. In 6th grade, she sat down with my husband and I during parent-teacher conferences, and she reassured us, she gave us resources, and she spoke to us about our son, and now he's doing amazing, and I really want my other 2 students to have the benefit of Mrs. Atkinson. She's not just, oh, she's a good counselor. The experience that people have with Miss Atkinson, the experience that the student have, the experience that our students of color have reported with Miss Atkinson also is above average. She is an amazing counselor. She is irreplaceable. I urge the board today, if you vote no, if you go back, if you look at this situation, please vote no to certifying her termination today. She is irreplaceable. She has 17 years of experience in this career that people are doing because they love it. Only if they love it can they be effective, because I'm sure not everyone loves it, but Miss Atkinson, she has her heart in it. She has experience. She is a member of our community. She has 3 children in the school district. She lives in Munster. She is irreplaceable. I can't believe that we're looking at terminating her. I myself was a counselor. I am very well versed in confidentiality matters. If there was an issue, there has to be some other recourse that this board today could say no to certifying her termination and go back and look at other avenues of recourses if it was appropriate. She is still licensed by the Indiana State Board. So who are we? I was hoping that I would be able to read the multiple comments from community members on the Facebook page when they heard that she was up for termination, but there will not be time. There was overwhelming support for her, not just, oh, I thought she was nice, but overwhelming experiences, personal experiences with their children, with themselves, of how amazing she was and what a difference she made in their life. We cannot lose her, especially on the heels of the Elliott fiasco where we lost 6 good people.
Thank you. At this time, we have no further comments on public action items at this time, correct, Deb? Thank you. I will be moving on to recognition and presentation. We will be recognizing this evening our community ambassador program. Dr. Heller?
Yeah, so tonight we have the opportunity to recognize and celebrate our second cohort of the Community Ambassador Program. We started this program last year with the intention of developing well-informed ambassadors that truly understood all the complex, interconnected issues for a public school district. This year's cohort is comprised of members of our community, some with students in our district currently, some not yet, and some who already have students that have graduated. But the one thing they all have in common is a clear desire to be part of the solution and to be a source of support for the school district. There's a lot of misinformation in our world today, and education's not immune to that. I've seen firsthand inaccurate information posted on social media about situations in our district, and the ambassadors from both this cohort and our first group providing accurate clarity to the conversation. This year, when we were going through the legislative process, many of our ambassadors took an active role and wrote their legislators on behalf not just of Munster, but all public schools. This type of community involvement is what the program is all about. Tonight, this group, who have spent the last 9 months with us learning all about all things School Town of Munster, are graduating as the second cohort of community ambassadors. We want to thank you all for your commitment, your dedication, and your heart for the important work of public education. Before we move to giving out your diplomas, I'd invite any of our board members to make any comments. One of our board members started the program before she was a board member and is also a graduate of the program tonight. But I'll turn it over to any board members who would like to make any comment.
So I was part of the initial inauguration, so I was in the group last year. John Castro and I saw this program that down at the Indiana School Board Association back in 2019, and we were so excited to bring it back here, and then COVID, and we just never got it going. So when Dr. Heller came, he said, oh, I would love to do that community engagement, and it has been phenomenal. First of all, the dedicated people that have volunteering their time to come. These are long meetings, like 2 hours of learning about transportation. But I will be honest, I had been on the board 8 years at that time, and I learned quite a bit about our district through that program. I think every board member, and probably Amy will say the same thing, every board member should go through that. It was the best onboarding I had 8 years into my role. So thank you all for volunteering for it. Thank you for being good messengers. You don't always have to agree with us, but let's just keep it truthful. So I appreciate all of you for doing that for us.
Hi, good evening. I'm Amy Cinder. I had the pleasure of serving with a great group of individuals, many who are here tonight on the Munster Community Ambassadors this past school year. I actually applied for the ambassador program before I decided, before I decided to run for school board. And I'm so glad that despite the commitment that I decided to go ahead and do both. It is a fantastic program. If you have questions about the school, they will be answered. You'll find out things you didn't even know you should be asking. So I appreciate all the time from various people in the district spending a lot of time and energy and effort to help us better understand the operations. And in addition, I learned a lot from the group of ambassadors. It was a really intelligent group that asked fantastic questions and had a lot of knowledge to bring as well. So very grateful that we have this program, and I'm excited for it to continue.
First up is Stephanie Zapka. Kate DeLuca. Darcy Flaherty was unable to be here this evening. Adam Kiefner. Candace Logue. Natalia Maturi Vaccaro. Sarah Nowacek. Nikki Nihana. Not here, okay. Liz Aprisco. Heather Phipps Stevenson. Melinda Pipick. Amy Cinder. Natalie Vega Finn. Shuhui Yang. Hopefully I said that correctly. Yes? Okay. Yes. And Crystal Yednak, who's not able to be here with us this evening. Congratulations to our 2025 class of community ambassadors. Thank you, everyone.
guys.
Thank you for being here this evening. Appreciate it.
In the future.
Next up on this evening's agenda is the Munster Education Foundation grant presentation. I believe I saw Lynn Epley here somewhere. Hi, Lynn. Welcome. Lynn is the current president of MEF and will be recognizing grant award winners this evening. Excellent. Thank you.
All your grant award winners want to come in and take a seat, they can. I think they all did. Okay, they're
Great.
all in, okay.
Today to be here to present our latest grant recipients for the month of March. We had 7 grant recipients, and those grants were from all 5 of our schools, and those grants total just under $11,000, bringing this year's contributions on grants for students, from teachers and staff that applied to nearly $60,000. That was 27 grants in total. And at our Wednesday meeting, we have another 5 grants that have been applied for that we hope to award as well. So we've had a really successful year. And again, we say it all the time, but we're only successful because we have amazing teachers and staff that actually apply and think of these unique ideas for the benefit of our students. We count not only the money, but the number of student engagements that these grants reach. And so far this year, we've had 6,000 student engagements from these grants, meaning that these grants affected so many students. So 6,000 students. Given that there's 4,000 students in our school district, that means almost every student in our school has certainly been affected by one of the grants that these teachers have been awarded, and some of them more than one. So we're really excited about that. And before we announce our grant award recipients, on behalf of Munster Education Foundation, we did want to say thank you to Dr. Heller. Your involvement with our organization over the last 3 years that you've been here has been really exemplary, and we really appreciate both your participation in our meetings and feedback that you have given us, but also just your support along the way. We couldn't do it without the support of the school town of Munster, and we appreciate that leadership. Thank you. Great. So this is Stephanie Zapka, and if you would announce our grant recipients. If you hear your name called, we will, if you would come up, we have a grant recipient pin for your lanyard. Thanks.
Mrs. Patchen from Eads in the amount of $2,000 for the IXL program for the 3rd grade classes at Eads. Mrs. Garcia from Elliott in the amount of $1,000 to bring traveling zoo to the kindergarten classes. and structured learning classroom at Elliott. Mrs. Snyder from FHH in the amount of $1,300 for new keyboards for the music classes at FHH. I don't think she's here, but Mrs. LaFletch from MHS in the amount of $4,000 for materials and Canva licenses for the horseshoe shop at MHS. Mrs. Augustinowitz from MHS in the amount of $1,800 for C-Pen readers to support literacy in the resource classrooms. And our final two grant recipients aren't here. One of them has birthday and one of them isn't feeling well. Mrs. Gibson from WWMS in the amount of $150 for preparing for her classes, and Mrs. Habas from EADS in the amount of $415 to provide materials to support the robotics team at the state competition.
Thank you very much for the time.
Sorry. Thank you to MEF. At this time, I'd ask Mr. Nolan to come forward as a report from our staff this month.
All right, good evening, everybody. I'm going to go through just some big highlights or general highlights from the high school. Booster Club reverse raffle back on April 25th was a huge success, so I want to thank the community in general for turning out that night and raising quite a bit of money. It was one of our biggest nights we've had in the last 4 or 5 years. So again, a big shout out to all the families who attended, all the teachers and staff who came out for the Booster Club reverse raffle. So we want to thank you with that. The Munster High School Athletic Council raised $1,500 at the Best Buddies Bowl, which was a huge success this year. And that money will be going to Special Olympics Indiana and to help Munster High School earn its Unified Championship School banner for the 24-25 school year. Speaking of Unified Championships, our Unified Track season has kicked off. We hosted our first ever Unified Track meet on April 23rd versus Griffith, and our second one is coming up this week, on the 15th. So another opportunity for the community to come out and cheer on some of our student athletes as they participate. Huge shout out to the Wilbur Wright staff, custodians, for hosting boys volleyball and this season while our gym was under construction. So we just want to thank Mr. J and all the Wilbur Wright staff for putting up with us the last few months here. We know it was kind of a big thing for us to come over there and move in, but want to thank you for that. And finally, on the athletic side, just a shout out if you hadn't seen, our conference has joined forces with JED TV to start our own network, the NCC network, and we'll be hosting that, and that's starting kind of now and up through next school year. But it's a great opportunity if you can't attend events or you want to see an event that maybe is on the road, you'll be able to catch those on JED TV. So just an opportunity for us to get our name out there and for everyone to be able to see our athletics. So if you got grandparents living in Florida, now they'll be able to watch some of the kids' sporting events throughout the fall season next year. Finally, a couple thank yous because they're here in the audience. I want to thank Kate DeLuca for some beautification in front of the school. We got our mulch done last week as we're trying to get everything ready for graduation, and then Kate came in this weekend and put in flowers for us, and she didn't even say anything till today. So again, thank you, Kate, for taking care of that. We've started AP testing over at the high school. This year we're testing 26 courses and 1,254 exams. And just to give you a little bit of comparison, last year we had 24 courses tested, 1,284 exams, but we also had about 100 more kids in the senior class. So the number of exams is a little bit down, but percentage we are up there as we speak. Finally, field house is all wrapped up, so graduation will be taking place indoors June 1st at 1 o'clock at Munster High School, so make sure you got your notes down. We're still working out a few little kinks in the bleachers and such, but the audio system's up, scoreboard's up, the bleachers are in. They're beautiful. It looks great, so thanks, Sean, for all the work you did with that. But we're excited to have graduation in our new feeling field house here at the end of the month. That's it. Well, I'll say one thing. I'll speak for the principals. Dr. Heller, we are mad at you. No, I won't protest, but again, congratulations, Dr. Heller, on your new position. You'll be sorely missed by the principals here.
Thank you, Mr. Nolan. At this time, we will be moving to our consent agenda. With that said, I would ask if any of the board members would like any of the items to be broken down individually as presented in our consent agenda at this time. I will request that we, my first board meeting being in charge, so give me one quick second to make sure I ask of this correctly. I would ask at this time that the decision concerning Julia Atkinson be separately voted on and removed from the consent agenda. Thank you.
With that, the consent agenda then contains the following items, and I'll make sure I delineate part of the personnel report that isn't included. Includes items 5.1, the approval of the minutes, which you'll see we have minutes from the April 14th school board meeting, the April 22nd executive session, the April 25th executive session. So there's 3 meetings there for that. That's item 5.1. Item 5.2 includes approval of the accounts payable voucher register as presented. 5.3, the approval of the payroll voucher register as presented. And then item 5.4, excluding, and I'll go through this so we can show what we're excluding, will be the entire consent agenda items, including the recommendations for employment as displayed on the screen, the resignations as displayed on the screen, retirements as displayed, excluding the contract cancellation termination, and then professional learning requests as displayed on that screen. Again, excluding the contract cancellation. It will also include item 5.5, approval of overnight field trip requests, which include the following from Munster High School for the football team and the marching band. With that, the administration recommends that the board approve with one motion and one vote, consent agenda items 5.1 through and including 5.5, excluding the contract cancellation as listed on the personnel report, item 5.4.
At this time, I ask for a motion and a second.
Schwartz-Wolf, so moved.
Castro, second.
Any discussion? Call for a vote. Oh, I'm sorry. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any nay? Obviously, no.
Motion passes.
Motion passes
4 to 0.
4-0. At this time, then we will consider the separate item of the termination of Julia Atkinson's contract.
Yeah, and I'll make a separate recommendation then for that. So the administration recommends that the board approve the contract cancellation termination of Julia Atkinson as displayed on the screen and presented.
At this time, I ask for a motion and a second.
Schwartz-Wolf, so moved.
Castro, second.
Any discussion? None at this time? Then I will call for a vote, and I will take a roll call vote. Is that what I should do? Correct. John Castro?
Aye.
Amy Cinder?
Aye.
Ingrid Schwartz-Wolf?
Aye.
Kristen Smith? No. The vote passes 3-1 at this time. We will move forward now to action items on our agenda. 6.1 donations.
The administration recommends the donations as presented.
I will ask for a motion to approve the donations as presented.
Schwartz-Wolf, so moved.
Second.
Castro, second.
Any discussion concerning the donations as presented?
I will go through those for you. You'll see there's a few of them. There's a few documents. The first one is from Munster High School, which were donations through April, and you can see donations to the baseball, choir, dance, DECA, culture, cuisine club, speech and debate, and choir, as presented from the donors. We also have another one from Munster High School for Unified Game Day. The Booster Club donated $2,000 to help with Unified Game Day. And then we had the PTO from Munster High School also make a donation for Unified Game Day. So there's 3 for Munster High School. Wilbur Wright Middle School has 2. First to the Science Olympiad in the amount of $500 you see from Nori there. And then it also has their PTO, which donated $150 to the Unified Game Day as well. We also have a donation from the Elliott PTO for Unified Game Day as presented, as well as a donation from the Eads PTO for Unified Game Day, and also Frank Hammond PTO for Unified Game Day. With that, those are the donations as presented.
Discussion, right? Any discussion or questions at this time? None? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any concerns? That's all.
You always ask for opposed, though.
Any opposed? Passes 4-0. At this time, then, we'll move on to 6.2 fundraisers. We'll ask for a motion to approve fundraisers as presented.
Castro, I move that we approve fundraisers as presented.
Cinder, second.
Discussion with that, we will have, you'll see the fundraisers for Munster High School, a patron drive for theater and speech and debate as listed, and then we also have Science Olympiad and dance team from Wilbur Wright Middle School. So those are the fundraisers as presented. Want to make sure I got it. Yeah, I got the whole list there.
Any questions or discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any nays? No. Vote passes. This time I'm moving to 6.3 Chartwell's 2025-2026 renewal. Sean, will you be? Okay.
Yes.
All right. I apologize. I misstepped here for my first board meeting, so give me grace for one moment. I ask for a motion to approve the Chartwell's 2025-2026 renewal as presented.
Schwartz-Wolf, so moved.
Second.
Cinder, second.
Thank you. Sean?
School corporations that use a food service management company, after going through an RFP process, are able, request for proposal process, are able to use the food service management company for up to 5 years before going through the RFP process again. We completed the RFP process in July of 2023 and can opt to use Chartwell's through 2028. With the service that we have received from Chartwell's, we recommend retaining their services for the 2025-2026 school year.
Any discussion or comments? Oh, I would just like to comment, Dr. Heller shared a story with the board in regards to Chartwell's and your student government. Do you mind sharing that story at this time?
Sure. Yeah, so we have our Student Advisory Council. We have an elementary, a middle school, and a high school version. And during the elementary Student Advisory Council, throughout the year, our elementary students had a lot to say about school lunch. They had a lot of concerns, and they wanted to bring up a lot of requests around school lunch. And they brought it up over multiple meetings, and they were all great concerns, but it was a very big priority to our elementary kids. So I asked Chartwell's if they would be willing to hold a special meeting with me and the Elementary Student Advisory Council so that Chartwell's themselves could hear directly from our students. And so Chartwell's came in along with Mr. Begley, and we held a special meeting with our Elementary Student Advisory Council so that the elementary students could directly provide Chartwell's with feedback on the food that's being served. And Chartwell's was very responsive. They brought in some new menu items they were considering adding to the menu to get the students to taste test it and provide feedback. They listened very intently to all of the student feedback, and it was a great opportunity, I think, for Chartwell's to really hear directly from really the customers who eat their food every day. And so I appreciate Chartwell's willingness to be a true partner with us as an outside vendor. It's part of what makes that relationship with them very, very good.
At this time, I'll call for a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any nays? Vote passes. Oh, yes. Sorry, thank you. Moving on, any items that may properly come before the board at this time?
And tonight.
Okay, thank you. We'll be moving to the general information and discussion items on our agenda. The first item up is 8.1, 2026 budget calendar.
Yes, this is for informational reason. This is a tentative board, tentative board dates for the budget. There are rules that we must follow. So if you look at our date that we're planning on, September 8th for the budget workshop and permission to advertise and then submit it on the next day, we're doing it approximately a month ahead of time, so it gives us some leeway if we need to. But you have to have 10 days between the day you post the Form 3 and the day you have the public hearing, and then 10 days again after the public hearing before you can do the adoption. So this calendar fits all those needs that we have, but we do have some flexibility if we need to change things. We try to use as many regular meetings as possible. That's it.
Thank you for that information. We'll be moving on then to item number 9, Director of Financial Operations Report. Bill Melby.
Thank you. I want to start with the ambassadors. Again, what a great program, and I know a lot of people wouldn't want to sit for 2.5 hours and talk about school finance, but they actually made it sound like they enjoyed it a little bit. But the questions that came from it and the ideas that came from it, I was extremely impressed. They were at a very, very high level, so I wanted to say that. If we look at our education fund, one thing that's a little bit out of the ordinary, you'll see in other miscellaneous from Dell. Again, that's our tech department bringing in extra funds by fixing our own computers for us. So a shout out to the tech department. Another thing I will point out is a little different than normal is the payments to the co-op. We usually don't have two together. Last month's payment was actually, they were behind in billing us. That was for last year, and now they're catching up for billing us for this year. So that's where that extra payment came there. We did increase our cash balance in the education fund slightly, the way we plan on a 2-pay month. In the operations fund, it went very much as planned. Again, the big variance or difference than normal is under purchase of mobile or fixed equipment, and I might even get an applause on this. That larger value there is from our new printers that we put out in our schools. So we did our Director of Technology, Mr. Potskill, did a lot of research. I went with him for a lot of the research. We got a great price, and we were able to get a great deal and put these in our schools. So that's where that difference came. In the referendum fund and in the operations fund, yes, we did lose a little bit in our cash balance compared to last month, but again, remember that's normal because they're tax-bearing funds. We don't receive our tax draw until June unless we ask for an early draw. We did. We expect that next month. So again, in the referendum fund, you will see a decrease in the cash balance, but that is as expected. When you look at May, the early tax draw, that is a real big question mark. I have no idea where that number is going to come out. I look at the last 3 or 4 years and get an estimate from that, but it could be higher, it could be lower. It depends on how many people have actually paid their tax bill at that time. Other than that, the big thing in our financial office, we're updating our revenue forecast through 2031, and then we'll update all the new projections through 2031 with all the new legislation. We now have a pretty good standing of where we're going to be moving forward, so we'll make sure we have the information to update the board with it. Pending any questions, that's my report.
Thank you. Does anybody have any questions?
I did, Mr. Melby, just generally, you kind of touched on my thought process at the end there. There is a lot of unknowns, not just from the state level, nationally. There's a lot of volatility in the markets right now, a lot of action with bonds. Just partially a reassurance that we will continue to remain conservative, but I know we're going to look at these things in more specifics over the coming months as you get to dig into this a little bit, but I was just kind of wondering some of your thoughts generally. Like, I understand, I know we are in good shape. I know we've been planning for this. We've had some thoughts early on that this was kind of the direction that the state was going in terms of revenues that we'd receive. So just kind of, taking the temp a little bit just to kind of put the folks at ease.
Right. So, and again, I'm very conservative, and I will always continue to be that way. But in the education fund, we know where our revenue is going to be, plus or minus. It depends on our ADM. So we have a pretty good gauge of that. Even though it says it's an over 4% increase, really the school town of Munster is going to get less than a 1% increase if my numbers are correct. And Mr. Trippenfeld, he ran the same numbers, and we came up with very similar numbers. So the education fund, we know where we're going to be at over the next 2 years.
in the operations and referendum fund, that's where the big question's gonna be. It's really gonna take a parcel by parcel check to see exactly where we're gonna end up. There are some things we can do to get in that. We can partner with Baker Tilly and Policy Analytics that can give us a better picture of what the future is going to be. Looking at what the numbers that they gave us, we are going to lose significant funds in our debt-bearing funds, for sure over the next 7 years. And it looks considerably worse after 2027 and 28. But I will say on the other side, the school town of Munster, with the leadership of our superintendents and our board, we have put ourselves in a position that I can tell you a lot of schools around are not in. We have put ourselves in a much better position to handle variances.
Thank you, sir.
Any other questions, comments? Okay, thank you. Thank you, Bill. At this time, we'll be moving on to item 10, administrative reports. 10.1, assistant superintendent's report. Steve?
Thank you. Just a few things. Mr. Melby, our corporation treasurer, Jessica Espinoza, and our accounts payable specialist, Jennifer Daniels, and I got to attend the Indiana School Board Association's state convention last week. I believe that I can speak for all of us and that the sessions were extremely useful and very helpful. As you can expect, as what Bill just said, many of our sessions were designed to help us better understand some of the changes in Indiana code that occurred in this last legislative session. I mean, I could go through the numerous changes, but we're talking funding, teacher evaluations, teacher appreciation grants, school accountability, referenda, teacher compensation, student absenteeism, school board elections, and dozens more that we got to hear straight from a lot of people from the IDOE about, which really helped us. Conference was extremely valuable. Unfortunately, to some of the people in my department, I returned with several plans and ideas to implement, so they always get frustrated with that, but learned a lot of good things. Again, we all were able to attend sessions based upon our roles, and as I said, the human resources sessions offered me some very actionable ideas and ways to improve our department, so it's going to be hopefully a very valuable session. As this school year ends, we are actively working to prepare for next school year, as I mentioned last month. I didn't mention this last month. During this summer, we have planned some informal negotiation meetings already, so it's that time of season. We're going to meet hopefully twice in the summer with the Teachers Association to begin informal discussions and negotiations for the next bargaining season. As you all are aware, but maybe our community isn't, formal bargaining actually doesn't officially begin until after school starts in September 15th. And then we can begin working to prepare for that formal session. And again, for everyone's information, formal bargaining in the state of Indiana begins September 15th and has to be concluded by November 15th. So we're going to need to be ready, as Bill mentioned, that he's already got some scheduled school board meetings. As our process goes through, there will be some school board meetings that we're going to have to schedule that are less announced than Bill's are, because it really depends upon when we can reach a tentative agreement. And then there are some things we have to do for meetings to go through those and go through that process. So want to make sure you're aware that we'll also have a few extra meetings of September or October, in addition to the good old budget meetings. And as I mentioned, obviously, at this time of year, we're actively working to fill those open positions that we have for next year. Our department takes a lot to do with that. And I did want to take just 1 minute to recognize Vicki Swing, our benefits specialist. One other thing we do at this time is we review all of our benefits and claims throughout the year for medical insurance, medical premiums. And I think I can truly say that this has been a year, and I need to find some wood to knock on. I'm not very superstitious, but with a lot of programs that our insurance consultant, Nick Napier, who works for Brown & Brown, and Vicki Swing, we've put together some great programs that offer tremendous benefits to our staff, with some cost savings for also the individual employees and for the corporation. And I've just been proud to work with Vicki and Nick as they've navigated some of these really tumultuous times when it comes to insurance costs and insurance premiums. And I think my team has done a tremendous job. They need to be recognized. We are beating national standards, local standards, and state standards when it comes to costs. And we're actually beating the types of benefits that we're adding and adding on there. So Nick, if you're out there listening as our consultant, or Vicki, thank you for all you guys do. Those are the kind of things that go unseen, that people just assume happens and don't realize the amount of work that certain individuals put in. So I just need to say thank you to Vicki and to Nick. And then pending any questions, this concludes my report.
Thank you, Steve.
Did anybody win any big awards last week?
I think there was at least one person that won a local award, not a big award, but it was a local
A
award.
Region 1
Yes.
school business?
Yeah,
Award?
the person who just finished talking won a Region 1 School Business Official of the Year award, so
Thank you.
Excellent.
for that.
congratulations, Mr. Trippenfeld.
Yes, and I appreciate them for being there. Bill and Jessica and Jen had to sit through the awards presentation, which is somewhat dry the whole time for that, but thank you very much for that. But
Congrats. Any other comments, questions? Okay, at this time, we'll move on to 10.2, Director of Operations Report. Sean?
Thank you. I'll give you a update on construction going around on the different campuses. So the baseball soccer field conversion is completed. So our baseball team has been using it since the first week of April, but the berm, final grading, and seam blankets got wrapped up this past week. So with the new field, including the new lights that we installed last year, our student athletes will be able to play baseball games and play soccer with less interference from the weather in a much improved facility. And pending town approval, we'll move forward with the expansion of the storage and parking in the field and storage area just south of 35th Street. Fine arts, the classroom area is going into the final stages. That includes putting in the flooring, the drop ceilings, the cabinets. We anticipate getting the band, orchestra, and percussion rooms turned back over to us in mid-June, and that's a change from end of June. At that point, the construction is going to retreat into the auditorium with the theater seats set for delivery June 30th, and with the expectation, again, the theater back in early August of 2025. So we'll have that hopefully ready to go before the beginning of the school year. As Mr. Nolan said, the bleacher scoreboard and sound system is ready to use. We are doing a few missing parts and minor updates or fixes to the bleachers to get those complete. The scoreboard is installed. It is much more capable than the old scoreboard. So it has the capability of video. I know Mr. Schultz has been working with McKean Solutions, the people that installed it. So he's going to be taking several classes that he can do advertisements, he can do videos, he can do all sorts of different things. I'm sure Kim has got a lot of things that she's going to have up there for marketing or for branding, but it is much more capable of what we had. The audio is complete. They have to tune it in, so they have a acoustician coming in to make sure it's set just right. It is, again, much more capable. We used to have a little suitcase you would drag up and plug in. This you can, you have to be in a specific spot that you Bluetooth in. I was walking around with my phone playing my playlist while I was walking around the gym. Again, it is a great improvement to the facility. We'll now start replacing the bleachers at Wilbur Wright at the end of school, so we'll start to demo and install there. And then the people we're using for the installation for the scoreboard noticed that we had a wireless capability at the high school, and we're going to recycle that and put that where we had the wired connection in the middle school. So where it's been kicked and that wire fails often, we're going to completely replace that without much cost to the school corporation because we're recycling some of our parts. And kind of going back to Chartwell's, Chartwell's does a very good job of providing food for the students, and with the money that's produced in the cafeterias, we're able to use that money to do purchases and do some improvements to our cafeterias. So we are going to be able to put a new combi oven in Elliott. We're looking to replace some of the tables at the high school. We have some that the seats are failing, so we'll get replace those. Eads combi oven, we want to get that done over the summer also and replace the serving lines. There is a wait time to that, but I'm working with Jessica to make sure we have a healthy food service balance, and then we can replace some of our things that are aging out, and those serving lines at Eads are well past their prime and need to be replaced. With transportation, our 3 72 passenger buses are coming in. One came in today, and we'll get one tomorrow, and we'll get one Wednesday. We have the state police lined up to come and do inspections, so we'll be able to immediately get those into the bus fleet and get those taking our students home. We still have 2 84 passenger buses that we're waiting on, and we expect to get in fall of 2025. But with the 3 new school buses, they will help serve the many athletic and field trips that we are going on. I think we're trying to set a record this year, so thank you principals for submitting all those requests. but we're all over the state. We're all over, our conference and taking our students all over the place. So those new buses will be very well received. Pending any questions, that's all I have.
Questions of Sean?
I just had a quick question for you. I think I touched on it last month, but the tariffs that have been put in place, put on hold, put back in place, changing numbers. I know we had a lot of projects that were in motion already. We had a lot of equipment and a lot of product already in store. Is this affecting you long term? How are we looking at that in terms of some of the materials that we have?
So it does kind of depend on the vendor. I'll say this, with the buses, they just factored in, I believe it was a 10% tariff fee. If it was needed, it was needed. If not, we weren't charged it. Where we saw it with the steel for some of the projects, we didn't see it. They said, wow, we're lucky we got this in. So we didn't see the cost that was bid was honored. So we haven't seen it there. Moving forward, there are some vendors and some services that are saying, expect this to be incorporated into the fee. But that's why we put it out to bid, and we look for the most competitive bid before we award a project. And we are seeing our costs so far have come into where we expected. Haven't put out, when we put out some of our bigger projects coming up, that includes central office, multi-purpose building, those types of things, we may see an increase in that, in those.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. At this time, we'll move to 10.3, Director of Exceptional Achievers Report, Vida.
Good evening, everyone. We had our Unified Game Day, and it was a huge success. As you could see, lots of smiling faces and lots of participation. This year was so fabulous because the peers were so attentive, so empathetic, working with the children. It was just a wonderful, wonderful experience. But we would like to take a moment to thank all the people who helped with Unified Games to make it such a success. The Unified Game Day had a planning committee, and we'd like to thank Stacy Vukadinovich and Julie Masood, Jana Merrick, Tammy Katalinik, Marianne Orfanos, Rachel Zabani, Allie Dawson, Boyan Jovanovic, Claire Starcevich, Matt Brandt, Jason Hill, Grace Myers, Carrie Sweet, Taylor Wotropka, Kathy Kowalczyk, Beth Rospopovich, and Karen Ennis. Those were the behind-the-scenes people that were helping to put this wonderful opportunity together. We also had numerous staff volunteers who were out there helping out as well. We had parent volunteers. We had 19 parent volunteers that showed up and were helping to run the games and helping things to go smoothly, so a big thank you to them. We had the high school band, Adam Beaupre, who he brought the entire band. I've seen the Stampedes where they've had maybe 10, 12 band members, but we had the entire band, and it was just absolutely fabulous. We also had the cheerleaders led by Aubrey Velasquez Noel, and we had the Mighty Mustang leading our parade, so that was huge as well. We had a torch runner, Riley Galosick. We also had the choir at Wilbur Wright Middle School singing the national anthem led by Stacy Ogle. We had Miss Kathy Curtis, who did the sign language and interpreted not only the national anthem, but also our Olympic oath. The Olympic oath was led by Mrs. Ramos's class, so the entire class led that. We also had all the athletes and all the unified partners, and we had 168 participants that were competing. We'd also like to put a big thank you into the Munster High School Booster Club for helping us to purchase the t-shirts. Also, the Munster High School PTO, the Wilbur Wright Middle School PTO, the Eads PTO, the Elliott PTO, and the Frank Hammond PTO all contributed to helping us to put this program together. We would also like to do a big shout out to Jason Hill, Matthew Brandt, and Grace Myers because they were our event coordinators and they did a fabulous job. We would also like to thank Kim Pyrick for taking pictures for us. Also the principals, because Boyan, we were able to use his gym, and that was both gyms, and that moved very smoothly. Mr. Nolan for helping us with the band and cheerleaders and Mighty Mustangs and getting that all organized. Linda Bevel, Nicole Guernsey, and Kelly Boersma, who helped us with all of the scheduling to make sure the buses arrived and left on time. Tanya Nelson and all the transportation department and the drivers who did a fabulous job getting our kids there on time before the parade and smoothly getting them back to their schools. Mr. and Mrs. Vukadinovich, who donated all of the water for the events. And then finally, Victor Torres and Beth Raspopovich, who were our MCs for that day, and they did a fabulous job. So we would hope that everybody enjoyed themselves, and we hope that everybody will honor us again next year and come and enjoy the festivities again next year.
Thank you so much. Any questions? Thank you. At this time, we'll move to 11.1, individual public comments. This is for general public comments. As a reminder, there's 3 minutes time period, and we have one submission. Colleen Avizian, A-I-V-A-Z-I-A-N. Sorry if I did not pronounce your last name correctly. Apologize. Thank you.
It's Ivazian.
Thank you.
I'm here to speak in regards to the ongoing investigation into the structured learning program at Elliott. Out of respect for this investigation, my husband and I have remained quiet while a tirade of false statements have been publicly made in an attempt to emotionally manipulate the parents of special needs children, incite anger in the Munster community, and continue a months-long campaign of harassment and defamation against my husband. Prior to coming to Munster, my husband had an impeccable 10-year record teaching special education, during which no complaints were ever filed against him. He became nationally board certified, and 1 year his IEPs became the standard for the entire Chicago public school system. He continues to be friends with many of his former colleagues and parents of his students. Many of his now adult former students have reached out to thank him for being a positive role model in their lives. In his short time at Elliott, he demonstrated the same care with the structured learning students. Ahead of the winter program in December, he arranged for one of his students to be seated in the front row with his family to minimize anxiety, and then helped that student comfortably participate on stage. He did this of his own goodwill, not as a requirement of his job. When Kylie McCoy, his former co-teacher, wouldn't let a student's snacks be used in his room, he asked me to purchase snacks and bring them to school so that student wouldn't go without. Meanwhile, to shed some light on the character of those making accusations against my husband and who have been referred to as good educators who are no longer with the system, Kylie McCoy quit 3 special education teaching jobs in the span of 7 months, each time without notice. 2 of those were the same job at Elliott. Kylie repeatedly failed to create a schedule that complied with required IEP minutes for students. I watched my husband spend 3 weekends in a row fixing the schedule to be compliant, only for Kylie to change it again on Monday mornings to maximize her own needs. Within weeks of my husband being hired, Alex St. Pierre helped initiate a false and malicious rumor that my husband was having an affair with another coworker in his classroom while our daughter was present. Kylie, Alex, and another aide acted aggressively toward me and my daughter simply for my picking my family up from school. Alex snapped at my daughter in her classroom. Alex and another aide were fired following their theft of my husband's notebook, which they read through in the hallway along with Kylie in full view of security cameras while neglecting their students. Alex threatened my husband, saying she knows where we live, stating our address, and that she's driven past our home. Alex told another aide to watch her back because she didn't do enough to get rid of my husband. There's a recording of one of the aides apparently grabbing a student's hand, causing the student to cry out in pain, and then mocking that student. Kylie and Alex have spearheaded a campaign of harassment and defamation against my husband, continuing to make false allegations for no discernible reason. They've demonstrated contempt for him and this district by choosing to take their complaints public instead of respecting the process of the investigation. If the school town of Munster takes disciplinary action against my husband, it sends a message to every staff member that this district not only condones harassment and defamation, but will actively choose to make it worse. I am almost done. Please allow me these few extra seconds. It also sends a message.
You can email it.
Your words, Kristen, at DARE graduation today said a lot. Please make the better decision. Be the better person. Be the kinder people.
Thank you for your comments. At this time, I will move on to item 12, board reports, individual board member reports. John?
Thank you. Attended the town council meetings, redevelopment commission. There was nothing that came through that would be of any note for our district. But one side note, as I do attend the meetings, I'm usually there during the town council meetings. The town council has selected a new town manager. Hopefully we'll get the chance to meet that new town manager within the next month or so. I know we have a lot of transition, so new town manager, and we'll see how if we can continue that symbiotic relationship that we have with the town. He seemed very enthusiastic, so we're looking forward to interacting with him. Had the chance to attend the ISBA regional meeting. This was last week. It's always very informative. It's a good meeting. We get to see other board members and superintendents from Region 1 kind of interact, kind of see how things are going in other districts. This was a tougher meeting. There was a lot of, as I'm sure you're all aware, legislatively, things that we've been able to, and the Indiana School Boards Association has been able to kind of fend off over the past, 4 years, are coming to fruition now. Things like, as we were discussing earlier, the financial issues that we're going to be facing, partisan school board elections, and some of the court cases that are pending, are just making it more and more difficult to be an educator, to be involved with public education, to be an administrator, and quite frankly, to be a school board member. It sounds to me as though they're trying to discourage people and make it as difficult as possible. We've said it before. None of us up here take our positions lightly. We know the trust that has been given to us by the community. We take the time and the effort and spend long hours away from our families and put so much thought and care and passion into the decisions and the actions that we take. It's hard to see sometimes when there's a 4-1 vote, a 3-1 vote, a lot of 5-0 votes that you're just kind of putting things through, but so much time is spent with my fellow board members, with the administrators, trying to make the best decisions for our district. So we will continue to do that, even in the face of the difficulties that are pending. And I'm proud to be a school board member. I'm proud to be with this group. I'm proud to be in this district. So thank you very much.
Thanks. On Friday, April 25th, I attended, along with the other school board members and our superintendent, a school board retreat, which proved to be both informative and valuable. The retreat provided an in-depth review of the code of ethics that all board members are expected to uphold, and we discussed best practices for effective board governance. We had the opportunity to build stronger relationships with each other. The time spent together fostered better understanding, camaraderie, and I think that'll continue to positively contribute to our future collaboration. That evening, my husband and I attended the Booster Club Reverse Raffle, which was a great event as always, and wonderful to hear about the many myriad projects that Booster Club supports. On May 6th, alongside John, I attended the Indiana School Board Association spring meeting. This meeting really centered on legislative updates, as John mentioned, relevant to the school boards across the state. Out of the 244 new laws that have been enacted this session alone, pending the governor's signature, 43 directly pertain to K-12 education policy, school or local governance, or child-related legislation. So these changes highlight the dynamic nature of educational policy and the need for ongoing awareness and responsiveness from school boards. We're fortunate to have excellent resources and support to help us stay informed on these developments. The insights gained from both the retreat and the spring meeting will help guide thoughtful decision-making as we continue to serve our community through these challenges.
Thank you, Kristen. I would first just like to thank all of you that publicly spoke. I know it is not easy to do that, no matter what your feelings are. We do appreciate it. It's a nerve-wracking position to be in up there, so thank you for sharing your ideas and thoughts and concerns. I am the legislative liaison, and I'm not going to do the doom and gloom for the legislation, but I think what I'm going to do is something we're going to now probably do with our strategic plan, is that every time there is something that happens up here related to finance or a new policy, I'm going to tie it to legislation, just to show you how affected we are by our government, and limited and financial. So I'm not going to go through all the list of the things that affected K-12 today, but throughout the meetings in the future, I'm going to start tagging those things so we all are that much more aware. I was a judge for We the People, and I know if I don't say this, Dr. Heller's probably going to call me out on it. Steve, you're going to like this one. I met so many great young people, 5th graders, and one of them made me cry. And I cried I know, I'm not a crier. It was, I don't know, I just maybe because I don't have littles anymore, but there was one student that was able to connect her life to a Supreme Court law or judgment, and it just was heartwarming to see that, where people can really, how much that connection in We the People really helps our students, and it made me very emotional. And then so shout out to Carrie and shout out to Tommy. Tommy is going to be President of the United States someday. That's all I'm going to say. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. At this time, I'd just like to give a brief update on the park board. As I sit on that board as per my role here on the school board, the park board at this time is undergoing a significant review we hired a facilitator and a strategic person, the parks professional, to review all of our district parks, all including the pool, which many of you have probably seen on Facebook. The pool is not closing at this time, despite comments made on social media. It is being evaluated as part of our entire park system here in the town of Munster. In addition to that, the view is in the process of potentially being removed by fall, and we are considering ideas and plans that will replace the view. It will not be another building. It will be a place for family members to go, and it will have some type of water feature, some type of area that families will be able to go and convene in Munster that will allow you more opportunity to enjoy our park system, lake, et cetera, out in that area. So I encourage everyone, if you're ever interested in learning more about the town and the Parks Department specifically, and how they're evaluating all of our parks, what gets updated, how it gets updated, when it gets updated, including the pool, which is at its lifespan of 25 years. That's why it's being discussed, which is our responsibility to evaluate that as the Parks Board. So just like to make that comment, the Park Board meets typically the 3rd Tuesday of every month. We will be meeting next week. Otherwise, I attended very similar events to my board members, and similar thoughts and feedback to all. Thank you for all coming. Thank you for your comments. Thank you for participating in our school district. That's what makes us unique and strong here in school town of Munster, in spite of challenges and growing pains that we are all facing here in our district. So we don't take that lightly. We obviously take it very seriously. And we feel like we've had very solid staff in place to help guide us, including Dr. Heller, who will be leaving us, unfortunately. But we wish him the best, of course, and we still have another board meeting left. So thank you. Yes, that will be a different type of meeting at that time. So thank you. Anybody else have anything else to add, comments? Thank you. At this time, I'd like to turn it over to Dr. Heller for our superintendent's report, item 13.1.
Thank you. So first I'll start just to provide a brief update on the situation with the structured learning program, since it came up tonight at Elliott Elementary School. I think in terms of the primary work for the investigation has been completed. Mrs. Berger and Mrs. Yost, who conducted the investigation, have, I believe, almost completed all of their meetings with all of the parents to review those findings with parents. We're now to the phase where additional conversations and steps will continue to happen over the next few weeks as we finalize discussions with staff about those findings and make decisions based on all of that going forward. So I know it feels like it's taken a long time. I will say that is because of the truly comprehensive nature of the investigation done by Mrs. Berger and Mrs. Yost. They did exactly what I asked them to do, which was be as comprehensive and thorough as possible, and that takes a lot of time. And so I applaud them for their work. They both may need some time off after this is done. They are but they've done such a great job. We are still in stages of finalizing everything, but I believe we're close to being able to finalize all of our findings and decisions going forward. Switching gears, we have a lot of great things happening in the district right now. This time of year is busy. I also had the opportunity to judge We the People at EADS this week. As always, it was an amazing experience. The teachers do such a great job. The students they always are just so amazing, so insightful, some of the things that they bring to the table when we ask them questions. Today, I had the opportunity to attend Elliot's 5th grade DARE graduation event, and we'll be attending the same one for EADS on Friday and Frank Hammond on Monday. Hopefully weather holds out, because that one is at Centennial Park. It's always an exciting time to see our 5th graders as they finish one leg of their educational journey and get ready to start the next one as they move into middle school. We are blessed to have Sergeant Grice, who does such a phenomenal job with the DARE program and has for so many years. So much appreciation and thanks to him for all of the hard work and making that a really valuable program. There are lots of districts who do DARE. Not all districts do it with the level of engagement and value that our community does, and Sergeant Grice is a big part of that. Of course, there's all the end-of-year field days and yearbook signing and finals schedules, the things that make the end of the year both stressful and exciting at the same time. That's all going on right now. Next Friday is the last day of school. We have 9 days left, which is hard to believe. Which brings me to another topic, which is my departure from the school town of Munster, which I think everybody knows by now that I'm leaving Munster later this summer, moving to Colorado. I do think the word bittersweet was literally created for times like these. While I believe this decision is in the best interest of my family, the opportunity to get closer to our family, especially our 2 older daughters, our granddaughter, became even more important to us throughout this past year for a variety of reasons. And the opportunity in this district that I will be leading next is also a great opportunity. But with all that being said, Munster will forever be a part of who I am. Sorry. It's impossible to come somewhere and give it your heart, your soul, without it becoming a part of you. So many amazing relationships that I've built in this community with staff, with parents, the community, with our students. I've had students come up to me since the news has come out. I've had lots of staff. I've had lots of kind words shared. I've had some people say they're mad at me. Some people say they're not willing to talk to me yet, which is just okay. I understand. It's bittersweet is the one word I will continue to use. I still have a June meeting, so I'll save some words for then. But I just want to thank everybody who has been so kind over the last week. Most people have been very understanding of the fact that we've made this decision. I appreciate everybody. Thank you.
All right, thank you. At this time, our final announcements, we will be holding a special board meeting on Thursday, May 15th at 6 p.m. Our next regularly scheduled board meeting will be June 9th at 6 p.m. And then we have 2 upcoming ISBA meetings. The June School Law Seminar, June 13th, and June 24th is a Budget Finance Seminar. With that said, we will conclude our meeting tonight at 7:19 p.m.
Motion.
Schwartz.
Oh, motion, sorry. Thank you. I was ready to go peace out, everybody. No, I'm not, I'm just kidding. Motion to close our meeting.
Schwartz-Wolf, so moved.
Castro, second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any nays? No. Meeting closes. Thank you.
Log out, please.